Okay, so just a little bit of the overview about the budgeting process and how it's actually used in AX. So I just want to highlight a couple of things. On the right-hand side are some of the things that were introduced in 2012. And inside AX 2012, the budgeting was expanded to include dimension integration. So you might be using 5 or 6 financial dimensions inside your organization, and you have the ability now to say to what level do you want to do the budgeting. So perhaps you're using locations or departments or divisions, and maybe you want to just budget at the department level and not the location level. So you could have more granularity in your chart of accounts and take the budgeting up to a higher level, or you can take it down all the way to the fully baked dimensions. So this is completely your choice inside AX. And that functionality was, a lot of functionality was introduced in AX 2012, and then it was continued in the R2 release. It also had the traceability of amounts, being able to go back and see how the amounts were done and how they were actually done. And it was all tied together with workflow. So you're able to go ahead and use the visual hierarchy, create the hierarchy, spin off all of the individual department budgets, and then manage the approval process through your workflow. And you can have different workflows for different departments. It is service enabled, and it's got some transfer policies. So we always have the ability to go ahead and put budget transactions on there. So the budget's approved and maybe there's some modifications that come through, and you want to put transactions on top of an approved budget, so you've got full traceability inside AX for those transactions. And in the budget control area, there's the budget hierarchy. So the same way that you do the modeling of the org structure, you're able to go ahead and do that for your budget hierarchy. So you can have a specific hierarchy just for the budget. And there's the ability to control the expenditures. So it's enough to go ahead and have a budget, but and then be able to report on it. But what we want to do is take it a step further. And we want to go ahead and say that if I'm doing a purchase order, I want to go ahead and encumber the funds so that I just don't go ahead and have to react afterwards. And I could actually just see, as I'm going through a spend, if there's amounts remaining. If there's not amounts remaining, I could go ahead and put transactions between them. And you can make all of this rule-based and be able to check the budget funds available. So you can either see the actual versus budget at any point in time, or you can layer on requisitions for pre-encumbrances, and as I mentioned earlier, you can do purchase orders for encumbrances as well. And they can give you hard stops, saying the transaction cannot go through, the budget is not there, and you'll have to go ahead and put some transactions through to free it up, or go ahead and lower the purchase order, or reject it altogether. And it has an extensible framework. So the idea here is that you probably have an HR system, you might have payroll systems, so we can reach out and get that data. And what they've laid down is a framework that you can go ahead and build on top of. So on the left-hand side, it just goes through some of the budget planning. So the budget planning on AX 2012 and R2 was actually enhanced. So in the 2012 version, there was the ability to upload the finished budget and be able to do some transactions and do some control. That has been expanded now, and now what you can do is you can do budget planning. It can be multiple years. We can do operational, capital, and revenue. There can be multiple scenarios. They're actually unlimited. And you're using the workflow process model. And again, this is going to be different departments can have different workflows. And what you're doing is you're getting the flexibility of Excel. That's where you can go ahead and there's more than one way to enter the budget information. But you can structure it in AX, flip it out to Excel for the individual departments to do, have them publish it back to AX, have the approval process take place, and then be able to take it out to Excel again to look at it. So you can do bidirectional. So we can push it out to Excel, make your changes, publish it back, workflow kicks in. And we can do some aggregation and allocations. And there's integration to the general ledger, human resources, and fixed assets. Okay, so this morning I just really want to do a very, very high-level overview because there's a lot to cover and we don't have a lot of time. So I just want to give you an introduction to the tool, and then we can do a deeper dive in later sessions. So the first thing is the planning process. So typically in the planning process, we first have to define the process. How are we basing the budget? Are we using last year's actuals? Are we using last year's budgets? Are we giving it lifts? Are we giving it lifts in certain sections? And then you basically, once you do that, you want to examine historical trends. So you want to be able to take that budget and bring in last year's or 5 years ago and be able to see what's going on and what the trend is, so you can go ahead and make some good budgeting decisions. And then once that's in place, then you want to go ahead and make some adjustments. Okay, so let me just give you a quick introduction to the tool. And right now I'm in the budgeting section. I'm in here as Brad, and I'm inside one company. You can see my company's in the corner. And if I go back to, let's go to the common area. There's budget register entries here where you're going ahead, and this is where you're going to transact on the budget. And then there's budget plans. And this is where I'm seeing all my individual budget plans. So if I look at all the budget plans, here's all the individual budgets. So you can see this one's got USSI for 2013, and this is the aggregated budget. And then I have all the individual budgets for the individual departments. And this was done by using the hierarchy. So if I kick out over here and I look at the budget plan hierarchy, when I create the budget for aggregated 2013, I say create it, and I'm actually basing it off of previous year actuals. And you can see on the side over here, it's giving me some information as I go through. So I'm seeing last year actuals and the previous year budgeted. Excuse me for 1 second. And when I did the ask for the budget here, it went ahead and did all the individual budgets because I'm going to budget down to the department level, and the departments are mentioned in my chart of accounts. So if I go and look at the sales and marketing here, I've got a visual representation, and I can actually go through here and I can see here's what the department requested and here was what was approved, and I can flip between the previous year actuals and what the previous year budget is. So I have a lot of information available to me. I can see that the workflow is done here, and I'm able to see the actions, view the history, everyone that touched the budget, so that comes through as well. And then if I want to go ahead and go into an individual budget and I want to see what does the IT budget look like, I am able to bring it into AX with the approvals and the workflows and do my modeling and be able just to create all of the worksheets involved. And then when I want the individual departments to do it, I just go out to it just goes out to Excel, and now it's creating these templates. And these templates are dimension based. They can be different ones for different departments. And the thing about this is that they don't even have to go into AX. So the individual department can just go ahead here, see the budgeting process inside Excel, be able to go ahead and, I mean, this is an approved budget, it's not going to get the ask here, but they can go ahead and change something inside one of the cells and then go back to Dynamics AX and just go ahead and publish it. And this will publish whatever they're asking for, and then it'll kick into the workflow, into the approval process. So that's just some of the ways that you can go ahead and get a budget up and running pretty quickly and easily. And let me just go back to okay, so just to recap some of the features that are available to you, it's got a flexible calendar integration. So you can go across 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, whatever actually suits your needs. You're able to do some what-if planning scenarios. We're able to do smart Excel templates, so different templates for different departments, divisions, locations, etc. And then the next thing is the budgeting process itself. So what we can do here is we can define company targets, we can define department targets, we can transfer to the budget register. Okay, so let's take a quick look and see how that works. So I'm getting ready to start a budget. So what I can do is I can go ahead and set up a new brand new budget. So here as I'm going ahead and I'm just setting up a brand new budget, and I can do this through a wizard as well. and I can go ahead and say what period of time it covers, what company it covers. If I'm going to keep some template folders inside there, I can go ahead and say that each one of the departments is going to have different, let's just maximize this, is going to have different ways of budgeting. So some people can be doing bottom up, meaning they're building up their budget by saying, I need 14 trade shows, I need 52 hotel rooms, and they're just going transaction by transaction and building it up. Other things, the IT, they've got a top down. I'm giving you $1 million. You're going to need to slot it out to where you need to. It comes to the Human Resource Department. They're all about salaries. We're going to be laying out all the salaries for the employees, and then the legal department will do that. You can also assign different workflows for different ones, so each one of them can go ahead and have a slightly different configuration. Then what you want to be able to do is be able to go ahead and generate those budgets quickly and easily. So there's a couple of different ways to generate those budget plans. You can either generate the budget plan from a general ledger. So if we were going to start a new year and create a new budget plan, and I can say it's going to be for fiscal year 2013, and I can say for what periods it's going to go to. So I'll go through 1 and I'll take it across to period 12. And I'm going to just budget just the expenses. And I can give it some targets over here. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'll say the budget planning process is for the US 2013. I'm not going to make it historical, which means I'll be able to edit the amounts. And I will call it USS. And now I can go ahead and say what to base it off of. So I'm going to base it off of the previous year budgeted amounts, and I'm going to give it a lift. I'm going to go ahead, and now typically you'd want to be a little more granular than this, but this will just blast you right off, and then you can go ahead and target individual sections of your budget. But I'm giving everyone a 15% lift, and I'm going to say, I'm not really going to deal with dollars and cents here, just round it off to hundreds. And this way everything will be just evened out at hundreds of dollars. And basically you just generate the budget. So now it's generated a new budget according to that hierarchy. So I've got the hierarchy laid out for the company. Every one of those departments has just been created, and now I can go in and edit the budget. So I can either edit the budget by going into my budgeting plans and going into my individual sort by document number. So I can go in here and edit the individual budgets, or I can just pop it out to Excel, have people do their departments, take it back from workflow. So as you can see, you can get yourself up and running pretty easily. Okay, so a couple of just recap of the key features. One is that there's integration with the general ledger. So you can go ahead and just generate the budget based on current year actuals, last year actuals, current year budget, last year budget. And we'll see this again in the forecasting section. That is important. And you can do the orchestration through workflow. So once you go ahead and get everything populated, you want to shoot it off to the individual people so that they can go ahead and do their approvals. And we can do allocations by dimensions and periods. So there's an allocation wizard in there where you say, okay, now take this dollar amount and allocate it across periods. Or you say, take this dollar amount and step it up by 10 or 15%. So there's some features available to you as well. Okay, now once the budget has been created, and I know all of this is happening pretty quickly, but just to give you, I want to give you an idea of the depth of the offering. Once the budget has been created, what you want to be able to do is check for available budget. You also want to be able to enter planned expenditures. So you can decide as an organization, you can do that at the purchase order level and encumber the funds, or are you going to do it at the requisition level? And you can also do it from the accounts payable. So you'll say what documents in AX are going to go ahead and go into the budget checking arena. And then also, how do you want to handle variances? Do you want to go ahead and send them through and just be alerted? Do you want to put a tolerance level on there? Do you want to say, okay, you can send it through if it's more than 5%, but a hard stop after that. Or you can put it through if it's under $1,000, but a hard stop after that. So you've got a number of different options there. Okay, so this is going to be pretty quick, but I just want to show you some of the things that you can do in this arena. So let's go back to the common area there. Okay, so there's always the ability here to do actual versus budget lookups. So if you're in here and you just want to see where we are without running a financial statement, you can always pop in here and ask for whatever piece of information you're looking for. And it'll actually give you the original, the revised, and what the expenditures are. In addition to that, you can go into the budget parameters. So, wrong place. We can go in here and we can also set, I think I was in the right place, sorry about that. We can also go ahead and set up some of the areas like what documents are going to go into the budget controls. Here we go. So this is the budget control where we're setting over and under permissions, and we can also go ahead and say, okay, what documents are we going to say speak for it? Are we going to put T&E in there? Are we going to put vendor invoices in, advanced ledger entries? So all of the stuff that's inside the system that's moving around is actually going to be included in the budget amounts, in the actual amounts if you want to, or in the bucket before the actual amounts. So you can actually have the entire system interact with it, so you don't have to react after the fact. You're actually got visibility into where you're heading in this budget, so you can take corrections early. Okay, so just a couple of quick things on that. So you can control your expenditures. You can also enter planned expenditures, and you can handle your variances. Okay, the final area is forecasting. So once you go ahead and have your budget set up, it's not an end game. This is an ongoing exercise. I mean, we're seeing a lot of the trends now are rolling forecasts where it's not enough to know, in October what's going to happen up until December. I need to see 12 months from now. I need to see 2 years from now what it's starting to look like so I can manage my business. So your actuals are coming into real time, and then your budgets have to be forward-looking. And so we can use the tool set here to copy from budget plans to create unlimited forecasts, typically with a mix of actuals and budgets, and we can analyze the trend data, and then we can handle the variances. So the tool set that's going to be used inside here, and I'm just trying to keep it quick because we are almost at the 10 o'clock hour, is basically you've got the ability here to generate. You can generate the budget from a budget plan, you can generate it from a general ledger, you can do a mix thereof, and then you can put lifts or down or up them, and it could be a mix thereof. So you can keep having, and the budgets are unlimited, and they're all available inside financial reporting. Okay, so just to recap of some of the key features, you've got a flexible input selection, so you can choose whether you want to use Excel, you can use the Enterprise Portal, or you can use a rich client. And you can use Microsoft Excel to analyze the variances. So just put the formulas in there, call up the information, have it do some of the conditional formatting, different colors, and you can keep updating the forecast. And again, those forecasts are unlimited. So this is my final slide, and that's some of the key budgeting advantages. So one is at the user front end. I mean, typically these budgeters are inside Excel. People are used to doing their budget in Excel, so why not just do what they're used to? So we're delivering the front end inside Excel, but then we're taking advantage of the structure of the AX database. And if you say that you don't want to use Excel, you can go ahead and enter the budget right into the budgeting module inside AX. And you can also use the Enterprise Portal, which gives you a lighter license, and it gives you some KPIs and graphs and stuff. Smart templates. So we can go ahead and set up those Excel templates that are pulling the AX information, doing all the graphs and charts that Excel excels at. And we have ease of use and faster adoption. Because we're in a Microsoft Office product, people are going to feel really comfortable, and they're able to do the transactions, and we don't have to enter it twice. So we keep the integrity there. The next thing is sort of sits in the middle, and that's the central database. So no more version control nightmares. Who's got the right Excel file? Where is it? What's it doing? We're holding that link to the database. So we've got the flexibility of Excel, but we've got the single version of the truth stored inside AX, and it's got the workflow, so we know who approved it, when they approved it, who touched it. So when someone says it's not the right version or it's not, we have complete audit trail. And we're using the workflow to manage the process. And we are integrating with financials, human resources, and fixed assets, and then all of the ongoing expenses are being aggregated as well to give you up-to-the-minute information. And you have budget control on selected transactions, so you'll choose what goes into the mix. And then the final thing is reporting. So we've got the role centers and reports. There's a budget planning cube. So you have the analysis services, gives you live data cubes inside Excel, and inside the budget cube actually includes the actuals from AX. So you can actually do your pivot charts and pivot tables using real live data and not go into an external platform. And we have integrated reporting with Management Reporter if that's your choice for